My longest run? My longest runs, I used to run ultra marathons, which were 50 miles long. Well, I would run 5 days a week, give or take. During the week, it would be anywhere from 6 to 10 miles a day, and then on weekends, depending on how close to the race I was, I would get up to my long runs before ultras. I did run up to 46 miles in training. So the peak time per week was probably 15 hours a week in training. My career spanned 25 years. I started running when I was in my late 30s. My weight was blossoming up over 200 pounds, and I said, I need to get in shape. And so I picked up a book about running a marathon, and I used it as my training guide. And my very first race was a marathon. I went down to Washington, D.C. and ran the Marine Corps Marathon. And I was undertrained, and it was a very grueling race for me, but it really it hooked me. And since that day, I mean, I've enjoyed running, and I ran many marathons, and then I got into ultra marathoning, which I really have enjoyed running trail runs. It's a little more forgiving on the body. As my knees started to wear out, I could extend my running by running trail runs. And like I said, just the different experiences. It was sort of a good segue for me. I've also hiked the Appalachian Trail, and so just being out in the woods for days at a time, it was a great experience. And days at a time is true for both my ultra training and my hiking. It's just, being out there, it just takes a lot to get through it all, but it was very enjoyable for me. Well, actually, unfortunately, my running days are over. 2 years ago, suffered a torn meniscus. Actually, while walking one winter day, I tore my meniscus, and since that day, I have not been able to run. So it was unfortunate, but my running days are over. Well, for me, running, my motivation always was about getting ready for a race. I had trouble going out for a casual jog or anything like that. I always was training for a race, and I think the key word for me is discipline. I was very regimented with my schedule, and so I could tell you any day of the week how many miles I was going to be doing. But when I was out on my runs, keeping myself going, it was challenging to think about the distance that I had to run that day, just the mechanics, making sure that I was not running too fast, running too slow. But truthfully, when I was out running 7 hours a day in training, it got really boring, and just sometimes it was trying to distract myself from the pain of, what I was enduring during the time. So it was challenging, but it really was all about the discipline and just, knowing that there was a run to be completed in order to stay on schedule to get to the starting line. I often suffered from knee pain due to poor mechanics, and it was just one of those things I think as I learned, you just kind of muscled through it, and you really just tried not to think too hard about the pain. Other times, I ran a marathon once where I blistered on the bottom of my foot in the early miles, and I had to run an entire marathon with a torn open blister. And it just you had to think beyond the pain in order to reach the goal. So it was really challenging. It's almost as much the mental anguish as it was the physical pain. I could overcome the physical pain just by trying to block it out. But I mean, mentally, I mean, the head games, those are the real challenges. Yeah. Well, it's funny because I often found myself, it was sometimes when I had to run a 10-mile run versus a 2-mile run, it's hard to describe, but it's when you think about what you have to do, it's really hard to describe. It's like 10 miles is just as easy as 2 miles. It's because it's not about the physical aspect of it. It's about the mental aspect of being mentally prepared to take that endeavor on. And as long as you have the mental fortitude to get through it, it doesn't matter if it was 2 miles or 10 miles or 50 miles. It was really all about being mentally prepared to take it on. So it really, running is much, if not more, about the mental side of it as it is the physical side. I mean, I have no doubt that people who are mentally prepared could run a marathon or more with very little physical fitness. It really is about the mental side of it. Because after a marathon, I mean, you could be undertrained and run a marathon. After the marathon, you're going to be beat up because you're not physically prepared for it. But if you have the mental strength, you can do it. And it's really, I mean, the mental side, the mental training is really as important as the physical training, no question about it. Runner's high is a real thing. I mean, when you're in the flow, I mean, there's nothing like it. It has a lot to do with when you're at the point, when you're doing a run that you are physically conditioned to do, and you're not pressing the pace, and you're running at a pace that you can maintain for a long distance. It's a really good feeling. I don't know how to describe it, but the runner's high is real. There's no question about it. Running is a sport that I love to hate, but I really do. I'd say did love running, and I really do miss it. And I really did love to hate it because, and I think it was as much of the physical side of it because I was always getting injured. But that said, I mean, like I mentioned, the feeling I got from running, it was very gratifying. So I was able to overcome the physical discomfort in order to train the way I had to train. In order to run some of these, awesome races. I mean, I've run, marathons, ultra marathons, and it's quite an experience. The thrill of just completing a race, some of the races I've run, it was just a fantastic feeling, I have to say, and it really was a motivator to keep me training for races down the road. Well, I tend to be more of an introvert, and so it sort of appeals to me that I'm able to do this on my own. I think one of the things that I most enjoyed about running is that I could do it anytime. I didn't have to wait for any structure as far as other people or whatnot. If I needed to be out at 3:45 in the morning or 10 o'clock at night, I could do that and didn't have to wait for others. So that was what was appealing to me, trying to fit it in with the rest of my life. That was very helpful to me because when I started running, I had a young family that I was trying to raise, and trying to squeeze in the time to run was very challenging, but it was manageable as opposed to other, previously I used to golf, and trying to find 5 hours to go golf 18 holes, it just became impossible, whereas running was doable. So this is my storyboard. During COVID, I was running ultra marathons in the Berkshires and in South Egremont at the Jug End State Forest. They had a 6-hour race, and because of COVID, we couldn't run as a group, so we had to run solo. So during the month of July, it was an honor system where you ran, you timed yourself for 6 hours, and you you basically ran as far as you could. And so the day I did it was, I started at 5:30 in the morning in one day in July, and it was a 4-mile loop, and the only thing I had with me was a Sharpie and a wooden pallet on the back of my pickup truck. So every time I got back to the parking lot, I would write down the time when I passed by, and so I was able to keep track of my miles over the course of that 6 hours. And I sent this picture of this into the race director of all my times, and he was quite impressed to see that I was recording my time on a piece of wood, and he got a kick out of that. So I cut this piece off the pallet and I hung it in my wood shed, and I thought I would share it here today. So running is such a hoot because there's particularly ultra running, because there's such a variety of courses, and the people you meet, it's always different. Sometimes road races like marathon, it's sort of formulaic. It's the same thing every time. Where with trail running, you never know what the course is going to be like, and the challenges are always different. And this one was one of those. I ran a 6-hour run with the same group one summer. It's called the Summer Sweltering Run, and it was basically running around a track for 6 hours. And it was as mind-numbing as it sounds, but it actually was a lot of fun, because you would run by the same spectator every 5 minutes, and it was almost it was quite a unique run. But so there's, like I said, there was a lot of different types of runs that really made the sport very interesting, without a doubt. I mean, it's the changing course conditions, how you're feeling at the time, the weather, the competition. I mean, it's really a mind game. It's not so much about just going out and running. There's so many components to it that all have to be just right in order to succeed. There's no question about it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. In high school, I played football, and my sophomore year, I was considering switching to cross country, and my football coach was adamant that I was not going to run cross country, so I stuck with football, and I didn't regret not running cross country, but I really never was a runner throughout my early years, and I don't know how I ever picked up running, but like I said, I think it was a sport of convenience. I was able to pick it up as time allowed. But I never imagined I would be running 50 miles at a time. I can't imagine it now. Now that I'm not running it, when I look back and drive down some of the roads that I used to train on every day, it's like, I used to run this. I mean, I used to run from home, which was 15 miles away, to work in the morning for a morning run. So yeah, it's a great experience, and I wish I could continue doing it. Now I'm into biking, and I walk and I hike. So try to keep active. Yeah. All right. Okay. Very good. All right.